I just found out something really exciting about Grevillea flowers, and I want to share it with you. This is a branch with inflorescences of Grevillea robusta, a tall tree native to Australia. And just like other members of the family Proteaceae, its flowers are quite unusual. To give you an idea, macadamia, leucospermum, or banksia are just a few other genera belonging to this exotic-looking family. The individual flowers are intriguingly coiled, and for this reason, Grevilleas are commonly referred to as spider flowers. And it's not just that their flowers are unusually shaped, but they have this one extra flower structure that I want to tell you about. First, let's look closely at the flowers. Obviously, this flower looks nothing like what we know from our typical flower diagram, but we can still identify the individual parts. The actual flower is attached to the flowering branch by a pedicel. This long, bow-shaped tube is a style, which, as you know from flower morphology, connects the ovary with the stigma. The ovary is this small bulge at the base of the style. The stigma, however, is not clearly visible here, as it's hiding in this tongue-like structure, although I can forcefully pull it out for you. And that's where it gets interesting. This tongue-like structure is a four-lobed perianth, and inside, on the top, there are 4 anthers adhering to it. The perianth is fused at the tip, enclosing the upper part of the style inside. In this position, the stigma is surrounded by the anthers, which rub off the pollen onto that special structure positioned on the tip of the style, called a pollen presenter. A pollen presenter is basically an organ, other than anthers, that presents the pollen to pollinators. With the naked eye, it's not clearly distinguishable from the stigma, as it's just a bulge on the surface. As the pollen matures and gets transferred to the pollen presenter, the perianth splits open, releasing the stigma with the pollen presenter, allowing the previously curved style to straighten out. To get a better idea of this, let's look at flowers in different stages of development. Here's a flower in bud. In the second photo, you can see the style elongating and starting to loop, while in the third photo, the style is already pretty long and looped, creating this bow shape. At all these stages, the stigma is firmly pinned by the perianth. In mature flowers, you can see that the style was finally released by the splitting of the 4-lobed perianth. You might think that getting the stigma covered in pollen from the very same flower might cause self-pollination, which is not ideal for the plant. But the pollen presenter actually serves the opposite function. The pollen grains attached to the pollen presenter are viable for only a few days, during which the pollinators come to visit flowers, encouraged by strong nectar flow. The stigma becomes receptive later, once the pollen is no longer at its peak viability. During the time when the stigma is receptive, its papillae protrude, rising above the surface, ready to receive pollen grains from different plants. At that point, the self-pollen is largely removed by pollinators or mostly not viable. So the maturity period between male and female parts is separated in time, preventing self-pollination and encouraging cross-pollination. Does it mean that it's impossible for the flowers to self-pollinate? No. But the previously mentioned mechanisms, along with the self-incompatibility, seem to work pretty well. Proteaceae are not the only family that has pollen presenters. It might surprise you that similar mechanisms, but using different looking structures, have evolved in other plant taxa as well. Let me know if you want to know more about this topic, and write to me in the comments below if you've ever heard about pollen presenters before. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next video, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time.